So I finished watching Star Wars Visions Volume 2, Episode 8, Installment 8, The Pit. So The Pit is directed by LeAndre Thomas and Justin Ridge while being written by LeAndre Thomas and is animated by the art Shtajio. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It'll be on screen for you so you can at least see where it's supposed to be. And Lucasfilm as well. So this is actually the first one where Lucasfilm is cited as an animator. In fact, this is the only one that Lucasfilm was directly involved with. And as I understand it, LeAndre Thomas, he is a part of Lucasfilm, so that does make some sense. I hope I do have that right. But regardless, this story is definitely very much connected with the experience of African Americans, of Black Americans. You know, being forced to labor for somebody else and not being able to enjoy the fruits of the labor. That is clearly an influence on this story. The Empire is using a bunch of imperial slaves, prisoner slaves, and they're digging a big pit to mine kyber crystals. And then a city is built nearby. The residents have no idea what's going on. They've been made ignorant of it through imperial propaganda most likely, but in real life that's often through sometimes it's propaganda being misled by people, and sometimes it's just you don't want to face the reality that your luxury is oftentimes on the back of somebody else's backbreaking labor. So you can definitely tell the influences there. And of course, the story ends on a hopeful note. Crux, he climbs out of the pit to look for help, and he does successfully get the attention of the people, and they start questioning everything they know because they are now hearing a different story. Somebody's speaking the truth, but the stormtroopers stun him and throw him back in the pit, and it tosses him to his death. But his daughter inspires everyone to chant "Follow the light," and which echoes to the city, and the people of the city overpower the stormtroopers and rescue the people. And of course, and when they're leaving, Livy, Crux's daughter, has a kyber crystal that Crux gave to her, one that they did not give over to the Empire. It responds to her touch, and it turns blue. It's implying strongly that she is force sensitive. So, where this is going to lead us is hard to say, but the message of the story, the message of the pit is basically, when those people who have been, forced to labor, who do not enjoy the fruits of the labor, they deserve to have the fruits of the labor. They deserve recognition of what has occurred to them. That is what this story is saying. It's saying that forcing people to work without enjoying the fruits of the labor, without being compensated for their labor, is not just unfair and unjust, but morally wrong. That is what this episode is saying. It's a very important message for all of us to take away, especially in developed worlds developed countries like America and what's traditionally considered the first world. We have lots of luxuries, but a lot of those luxuries are because of either backbreaking labor or people in the past who were never fairly compensated for their labor, oftentimes forced to do that labor against their will with no compensation. But even today, how many of our electronic devices are made in sweatshops over in India or China? And there's so many other cases, even with the technology itself. Maybe that one critical piece of mineral that makes it all work was mined in a mine in a country where the workers are barely fed or don't have running water in their own homes. There is a lot of injustices in the world where people some people have everything. They have luxuries really unimaginable even a century ago. Yet the people who do the work that allow them to have those luxuries are not fairly compensated for their labor. And many times they're just forgotten about, discarded, if you will, just like the people of the pit. And hopefully the message of this story will resonate with all of us here in the States and abroad, as well anywhere where there's a group of people who are living in luxury comparatively, and people who are not fairly compensated for their labor, whether it's forced labor or not, just unfairly compensated. hopefully we take heart and realize that we can do better. We should do better. And that's a great message. Here, Star Wars often does it through symbolism with the Empire and all that. But I'm just going to bring in Star Trek. Star Trek shows a world where, especially the best Star Trek, where a lot of those issues have been solved, where people, are recognized for the label. Now, some installments of Star Trek do like to go more into the dystopian side of things, shed some light on the problematic elements of the Federation and Starfleet over their faults. But the best ones show that they have their faults, but they want to do better. And we should also want to do better. But those are just my thoughts on the pit. This is actually probably, in my opinion, the most thought-provoking one so far, and probably the most important one thematically for us living in the United States. There's also, as I understand, this idea for the story emerged during COVID as well, so there is a little bit of influence there. But I'm picking up more on the historical influences of the story, rather the long-term history, in not just recent history where we're still grasping with what occurred and what will be occurring. But those themes were even present in COVID. There were people, during COVID, there was a lot of praise for essential workers. But essential workers, except for that praise, never got a lot of the compensation that they probably should have gotten. But like I said earlier, these are just my thoughts. Like I said, this is a very thought-provoking episode. And like this, and I hope we get more of these kinds of stories in Star Wars in the future. But that's all I have to say today, so I hope to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, may the Force be with you, always. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like, upvote, and share the video. Also consider subscribing and following the channel if you haven't done so yet, and to ring that bell on YouTube to get notified of when new videos release. The link tree in the description links to all my social media. Check it out if you are interested, and once again, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.